Hey coaches, check out the workout that I'm posting. Sometimes you've got to make changes on the fly. And I'm posting the workout that I had written and then also the change that I made on the spot to make the set better. So you can see the set is 6 rounds and there's 75s, 375s thirds. Thirds is typically just do like the back third fast, then the middle third fast, then the first third fast for each of the 75s. So let's say you're going fly, you're going to go a 50 free, 25 fly on the first one, free, fly, free on the second one, and then fly, free, free on the third one. And that's supposed to get the stroke together and, offer kind of a fartlek speed play type of challenge with the athletes. And then the way that I had written the set originally, I had 6 rounds. So each round would be different. So you'd go off of those 375s into first round, a 25 fast, second round, a 50 fast, third round, a 75 fast. And then off of the end of that particular thing, whatever it is that you're doing for that round, you've got 350s, hold it, kind of like 29 to 31 seconds, that sort of thing. And then a 50 easy, I believe I had. And the idea was to go through that 6 rounds, and I just wasn't comfortable with it for a number of reasons. One, the 375 speed play, the thirds that I've got, that offered the opportunity to go the short repeats of the 25s. Just going a 25 after the 375's third was just sort of a waste of time. Second, I felt that doing the 50s, the 29 to 31 hold it 50s was also a waste of time. So we decided we just did away with that. And we ended up going 375's thirds and then a 75 fast and then a 200 easy. Or maybe it was 150, I actually forget. And then go through that 4 times instead of 6 times. So the 6 times through would have offered them only 2 75s. They would have got 2 50s throughout the whole set. And I was thinking, if they did a really good job with the thirds, in particular, like if they're going fly and they did a really good, nice job with it, and then they did the short stuff, and then they did the hold it freestyle, I felt like kind of overall they'd get a lot of good fly in and just sort of have an overall good set. But I just didn't feel comfortable with that approach. I really wanted them to get some good 75s in, and I felt like, we'll group the last one and get a little something extra on it, but pretty much just flow through the set and descend the 75s. In that case, I asked them to descend 1 to 2 twice. I think that's kind of helpful as opposed to just a straight descend 1 to 4. 1 to 2, I think, is more reasonable to the psyche of the athlete if you're doing 4 rounds, because 1 to 2, it gives them a chance to really get it going on the second round. But like if you do 1 to 4, then the third round is always like the one right before the fast one. So they kind of tend to hold back a little bit. And so they've never really hit the gas. But if you go 1 to 2 twice, they have the opportunity to hit the gas on the second one and then kind of be a little bit more relaxed on the third one, and they can really get after the fourth one. And that's what we did. And with fly, we had a lot of flyers. We're going in groups on the last one. What we did was we went 2 groups on every one of them. So that's not written on the workout. But, I felt like with my flyers, if I gave them the opportunity to just swim with one other person in their lane, going 10 back, people could kick underneath each other and we could have a pretty good situation. Whereas if we had 4 people in the lane doing fly, it's pretty tough to really like break out with some aggressiveness with that first stroke. So try to do this as much as I can. The last round, we just went in single groups. Generally, I'll go around, whoever's leading the lane will be in that first group. I don't really like to mix it too often. In this particular case, I did go with the first group last. So I gave them a little bit extra rest to go into that last 75. So I thought it was a good move to change the set. I thought the set would have been too long, too much BS, not enough really good fast stuff. And I felt like in this particular case, taking the 50s hold it out was a really good decision. The only reason I really like to have the 50s or the 100s or the 75s hold it together is after a repeat where maybe you're going to build some lactate. So in this particular situation, particularly the way that I wrote it first, where it's only a 25 and only a 50 for much of the set, we weren't going to build any lactate. So it didn't make any sense other than just for discipline, like stroke discipline, to just hold it together. So I decided that, that just wasn't part of this style of set. 75s, if we do a lot of 75s, maybe they can build up some lactate, but I like to do the hold it together 50s through 100s, whatever it is, after some hundreds, after maybe some 150s, but after some hundreds. That's a better distance to really get that lactate up there. 50s are probably too short. 75's only doing 2 of them throughout the set, one of them being on the very end. I might not even do the hold it together stuff on the very end of the set. Sometimes I'll just group it on the end, like I said, and then after that, I don't need to just finish the set with 350s hold it. We can just kind of be done with the set if that were the case. If that were the case where I kept the 50s together. Anyhow, we've had a pretty good week. We did 12 225s freestyle on Tuesday. We usually would be doing that on Monday, but we're coming off a meet, so Monday was a little bit more of just a mix. The 225s were excellent. We had a couple different groups. Actually did I'll post this workout as well. Actually did a kind of a B set for people that I felt like we're going to have a hard time really doing a great job with 12 225s. And we went 10 75s, 5 150s, rest for about a minute, and then we went 4 225s. And so I did get the 225s out of everybody. One thing I want to mention that I thought was really good that we did this week, in the morning we did a kicking set, and I didn't really want this to be kind of a really tough kicking set. I feel like we've done a lot of that, and it's been pretty good. Particularly the leaders of my lane have done a great job with that, and we really need to do some more speed play type stuff. So we saved that for the morning. We did that this week where we did 3 300s, and one of them was like 25 moderate, 25 fast, another one was 50-50, and another one was like go a negative split with a really good last 100. Well, I had like 3 girls that kind of go in the back of the lane that I'm like looking at the practice, and I'm like, these girls like are just going to be in the back of the lane, and they're just going to go through the motions. In a fartlek set, in a speed play set, it's done, I think, when you've exhausted some other stuff. Like we've gotten some good short rest kicking. We've gotten some good long rest kicking. We've gotten some good 50s. We've gotten some good 100s. We've kind of like, we're at the point in the season where the people that have really done a great job progressing, they need to just do some speed play, especially in the morning. We'll save some of the major kicking sets for the afternoon. But these 3 particular girls, I was like, I don't even know what they would kick on a descend 1 to 3. And for me, I had the intervals pretty easy, 5:20, 5:10, 5-minute descend on the 3 300s. And I was like, this is going to be perfect just to kick either backstroke kick or free kick. I've got one athlete who goes 216 long course backstroke who's only a mediocre kicker. So I put her in the front of the lane, and it's like, let's start kicking some sub 120 300s, which she did on the end and was, kind of progressing from 410 to 359 or something like that. So the other 2 athletes, they kicked with the board freestyle kick. And because in my head, I was like, I don't even know if they can go a 300 sub 120 kick, and they actually did a pretty good job, went in the 40s with that. But like, I got a lot more out of them, moving them from the back of the lane. We have 3 lanes in the morning. So I basically took them and I put them in their own lane, and I moved the people in that lane into the other lanes. And I just had 2 lanes of speed play and 1 lane of descend. So that's one way you can look at your kids. You can figure out who needs a little extra something. And, on some sets, you might be doing, let's say you could be going sometimes in warm up, like yesterday we did, the other week we did something like 50 free, 50 fly for 3, 50 free, 50 back for 3, 50 free, 50 breast for 3. You could be doing that with most of your group for a preset, but you could be looking at your kids and saying, this kid, if we just did it all free, it'd be a really great set. And I really feel like this kid needs to work on swimming under 110s. And this is a great opportunity. I'm moving the kid from 3rd to 1st, or I'm going to create a situation where one of my 4 lanes is going to be a bunch of kids that just need to do freestyle and work on holding that pace. So we can make moves like that, I think, with presets and kick sets, and really any set, and get a lot out of the athletes that maybe we haven't paid enough attention to over the last couple of weeks. Hope this helps. Have a great week, everybody.